Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. If you're going to share any video of mine this year, this might be the one. Welcome to my opinions and observations about CitizenCon 2019 and what I feel it means to the state of the game. Let's begin. CitizenCon is our opportunity to see firsthand from the developers the current state of their tech and how it's being implemented in the game. If we were the shareholders, CitizenCon would be seen as our AGM, or Annual General Meeting. I've actually redone this script a couple times because there was so much going on that day. I found myself going down rabbit holes and focusing too much on one thing. Most of the panels have already been summarized here on the channel, so this assessment is more generalized. I'm always trying to evolve my delivery and presentation without losing accuracy. My aim is to entertain and inform, so if you do enjoy the video, please share it with your friends or org mates. We start with the most basic question. Did it live up to my expectations? And the answer is yes. On the whole, it was a very good show and a fair demonstration of where the game is and where it's going. As a content creator, I try to follow the small details closer than someone probably should. I do this because I'd like to bring you a more complete picture. We should start with some of my concerns going into the show. In no particular order, they are the state of the flight model, the continued hard resets between patches, and of course my personal fear is that what we were pitched so long ago may become truncated and evolve into a game that I don't want to play. In short, and I can only speak for myself, I'm no longer worried whether or not the game will come out, or that it won't be a technical juggernaut. My fear, and I hope it's yours as well, is that once it's all done, is that the final product is fun and something that I actually want to spend my time playing. That balance between casual and brutal, that has to be there. If it's too dumbed down, I won't want to play it. And if it's too brutal, we'll lose the majority of the community on day one. The show seemed to be, in many ways, a carbon copy of last year. The show mostly focused on what we're going to see in the next year. That, in my opinion, is exactly what the community needs right now. We're all very aware of the distant future intent. The sea of stretch goals, the creep, and the design documents are the recipe. We know that it can change 200 times between now and launch, as the game components are created. Seeing the near next editions allows us to see the progress firsthand, and it's more exciting than the distant tech demos that are within a tech demo. We actually saw two things this year that seem to be implemented exactly as they were pitched in 2013 and 2014. That is, Tony Z's economy and what the wormhole looks like. I'm sure we all know better than to expect permadeath to come out exactly as it was pitched. However, prison gameplay actually looks 10 times better than I thought it would. So, good progress. I personally enjoyed the more bite-sized and wholesome stage this year without Squadron 42. It was nice to see only those developers who are actually the ones building the actual game speaking. Why should I hear from marketing when I can hear from the ship pipeline or the PU design lead himself? Squadron 42 is the main focus of development right now. It likely took a bunch of development focus away, so choosing to not go through that process again was a huge relief. I also feel we should try to minimize all spoilers if possible. Moving on. The intro and outro game demos was a nice way to bracket the show as it created a small bit of tension and a cliffhanger and a reason to stay tuned. The improvements in Planet Tech are very apparent to see. I now understand what version 4 means within Star Citizen, and I can't wait to see other systems brought up to that level. The new locations look fantastic, laid out in a realistic manner, believable in scale and design. It was also critical to use the Carrack in the demo despite its obvious lack of completeness. The weather tech and the actor status having consequences for choosing the wrong gear is a great improvement, and it was specifically exciting to have an AI Valkyrie as part of the mission. VoIP and VoIP failed, which is fine because things break and that doesn't bother me. The majority of the panels were highlights and truly interesting. Prison gameplay never made more sense to me until it was fully explained. The new game mode reminds me very much of PlanetSide 2. I can see players only ever playing that as a standalone game. It's always been my belief that if we got a solid FPS mixed arms game, the competitive community might actually return and populate the servers. This is great for testing, balance, and to generate some more hype about the project. It'd be cool to see if all of Star Marine and Arena Commander could be made free to play as a marketing tool. That might be asking too much. Lore and linguistics are important, but perhaps not as important as other panels that were on the second stage. It's important to put your best foot forward when all eyes are watching. Many of the non-backers that turned up to watch live that day may have likely been put off by those in-depth panels. As I said, they're important, but they don't explain as well as the other ones what the game's going to become, but let's put all of the very best on one stage and make it visible that day. There's no point generating a bunch of hype just to shut it down halfway because the content is too thick or too in-depth and then boring. That's kind of the point of having a second stage to begin with. I would have loved to have more information about the flight model, whether they feel it's finished, whether they feel it needs tuning or an overhaul. It's not a complete loss because that could actually be an ATV segment. I thought that it was perfectly fine that Chris casually mentioned that SSOCS was coming, that it was a challenge, and that he left it at that. Again, that can be an ATV segment. I'll end my summary by tacking on the sale, which started immediately after the show. The expo is a fun way to merge the sale and the PU. I personally found the sale a bit underwhelming this year, but I also had no worries about gobbling up the fleet of my dreams, as it will be ready for me next year and the year after that. 10-year insurance was most definitely the right call, and I'm hoping to see next year that they just retroactively put LTI on everything. War Bond can be nothing more than a better price. And I feel that's about it. A fine show and what I hope is the best year towards a complete game ahead. So now it's up to you to post in the comments what your thoughts were, and now that we've had time to absorb it all, please feel free to comment if you disagree with any of my opinions. If you're new to Star Citizen and this channel, welcome. I believe that you may have arrived exactly at the time when it's about to get good. Lie safe, and I'll see you in the verse.